Welcome everybody. Welcome to the latest webinar from Nasstar and Calibri Digital. Today we're going to be talking about sustainability, and this is our third webinar in the sequence of first cost optimization and then data optimization, and now today we focused more on the environmental impact and sustainability options that we have available to us. So just for those who don't know about Nasstar and Calibri Digital, we are public cloud specialists who can help with cloud adoption, modernization, digital and data challenges, and ultimately help customers on their cloud journeys and, from this webinar's point of view, on their own sustainability journey. So I think we'd all agree that there's not many burning issues more important than sustainability right now and saving the planet, and I think we're seeing on the news right now the impact of global warming. So I think we've all got a shared responsibility to do what we can, and I think we're very, very privileged to work in an industry where we've got such technology available to us where we can actively make an impact ourselves and help make the right kind of decisions to drive positive change. So on that note, I'm Steve Sell. So I'm Public Cloud Director here at Nasstar and Calibri Digital, and today I am joined by...
Hi everybody, my name's Adam Dunn. I'm the Alliance Lead for AWS within Nasstar, so I manage our ongoing relationship with them. And today our objective really is all about how can we support organisations' sustainability goals.
Okay, cool stuff. So I suppose the first thing to explore is, what do we mean by sustainability, and exploring the context of sustainability within business itself. So when we talk about sustainability, there's three real vectors that we should focus on. It's not just about the environment, but we need things to be sustainable for the business in general. So we have social sustainability, and that's focusing on things like community impact projects, society, investing in future generations, building a diverse workforce to make sure it's sustainable, and actually also for your workforce having a good work-life balance. So it's things that you can do as a business to maybe automate, orchestrate, and make things easier, so that your own people model actually drives some benefits from a social impact point of view. The second vector is around economic sustainability, and we covered that really in quite some detail in our last webinar. So if you missed that, go back and watch it. We go into all of the details and the different levers you can pull to continuously optimize within cloud and realize real return on investment for the business. But ultimately the key messages in that one was maintain focus. It's not a one-time thing. Work with the subject matter expert, and within your businesses, probably create some kind of accountability for spend within the business units, and that actually helps you by tagging and understanding your data within your business, so that you can measure who's spending what and actually put some controls around that. So today, the third vector, and probably the most important in the bigger scheme of things, is around environmental impact. So it's got the greatest focus. We've got a changing world going on at the moment, and we've got a joint responsibility to do what we can, both at an individual level, business level, and obviously with the hyperscalers, which we'll come on to, and we'll evangelise a little bit about some of the cool stuff that's happening in that world. We're seeing industry targets being set by both government and by large enterprise organisations where people are committing to carbon footprint reductions, and that's all within that environmental side of things. And there's also a social expectation to have an organisation where customers want to trade with you or employees want to work for you. There's a real social expectation now that you're doing the right thing by the planet, and people are proud to do business with an organisation that has got the right kind of moral compass when it comes to sustainability. So within your role as Alliance Lead and working within public cloud, what are some of these common organisational goals that you're seeing within our customers?
Yeah, I guess we see organisational goals across both public sector and commercial sector customers. As you say, some government targets, some perhaps consumer-facing organisations, but they tend to focus in the same areas, quite honestly. So it's about reducing carbon emissions, conserving energy, more efficient use of resources, in essence doing more for less. And I guess almost as well, not last but definitely not least, is about promoting sustainability and sustainability mindset within their organisations. So they're the four areas that we encounter, you know, irrespective of the customer size, the customer domain, or the sector.
Yeah, and obviously we work with the hyperscalers in general, all of the big ones, but ultimately your experience comes from that AWS spectrum. So, you know, how did the hyperscalers help businesses achieve their goals?
There's a lot that they're doing, and there's a lot of investment and effort that they're putting into it. But I suppose if you think, you know, at the very start of a customer's journey, you know, taking a server from on-premise and moving to the cloud, there's a whole server consolidation exercise there, reducing the number of servers, which has an immediate impact in terms of energy consumption and carbon emissions. There is also, you know, a more efficient and scalable use of resources, you know, aligning your capacity to the demand from, you know, whether it's in the business or from consumers. And again, if you align capacity demand, you eliminate that sort of over provisioning aspect. And I guess the hyperscalers as well are doing a thing internally around the optimizing their own internal consumption, their own footprint, and reducing the idleness of their own sort of server farms within their own data centers or their own regions. And I suppose lastly as well is they're starting to give us those tools around, you know, carbon accounting and carbon reporting. You know, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. You know, that's a sort of old ITIL maxim from way back in the day, but it still holds true now, actually, in that, you know. So, and I think that is as much a challenge as the journey itself.
Yeah, and I think that point there around measuring, obviously, as a cloud MSP partner, you know, we have the privilege of working with customers from very, very early thought leadership and consultancy through into projects, account management, asset management, gaining insights, and then delivering a full managed service around those insights to almost translate it into business opportunity. And, you know, we commonly talk about, you can't measure it, you can't manage it, you can't improve it. So what are some of the tools that are available within the hyperscalers or from your experience, maybe AWS, that people can utilize to gain those insights and start, you know, translating opportunity?
Yeah, lots of tools really. I guess, you know, starting off, you know, with simple tools like, you know, CloudWatch, allowing you to, you know, track metrics, gain insight about performance bottlenecks and resource utilization. Trusted Advisor looks at cost optimization, fault tolerance, performance improvement, security. Again, it's all about improving resource usage and overutilization. Cost Explorer, you know, visually understanding where your money is going, right? Broadly speaking, there's a sort of a relationship between the money you spend and the energy usage, not directly, but there's
follow the same kind of
there's a relationship there. I mean, it's worth saying though that not everything that you can do to reduce costs is going to result in a carbon reduction. So reserved instances of ways of reducing costs, but that's just a transactional thing. It's not going to reduce your carbon footprint. Or
which one's more important, I wonder?
Well, I guess it depends on your viewpoint, right? You know, so a CFO's viewpoint might be different to somebody else's.
Yeah.
We've talked about auto scaling, you know, aligning capacity demand and using the auto scaling rules and tools. And then you get into like specific technologies, perhaps using Lambda, you know, taking legacy code and splitting it down into functions or microservices. If you only execute the service when it's required, then that has got to be more efficient than having that thing idling there the whole time, consuming resources. You know, and then you can get some real granular information, like, you know, the cost and usage report of Amazon. If you want to look at, you know, on a per second or a per minute basis, and you get really down in the detail, then there are things like that. I guess with all of those things, there are tools to be used, but the skill and the expertise of the person who interprets what they tell them is what's key. Otherwise, you can make, I guess, what you would call valid, but not silly, but, you know, perhaps not the best
transactional decision.
Yeah, and without thinking about the longer term. But that would be my sort of whistle stop tour of the tools that are immediately available to anybody at any time.
Yeah, and I think that just shows this like the breadth and depth of what's available. But as you say, there's lots of data points, ingesting them into a consolidated view to translate that into a how can we move forward as a business? What decision should we take? That's the art of the possible.
I mean, I think you're taking all of those inputs, and what you're trying to do is create a plan, you know, and a plan of action, and the plan needs to be modified over time and refined and refactored.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, a good next generation managed service provider should have a quarterly business review or quarterly business plan where they take those all those inputs forward and produce a almost a roadmap, I guess.
Yeah. So I suppose that like highlights why. But at Nasstar, one of the things we're doing is we work very closely with the hyperscalers and AWS, Microsoft specifically. One of the primary reasons is, of course, the wealth of services and the opportunity that you can unlock using the services available to you. But another reason why we do that is because, you know, these hyperscalers are continuously investing and evolving their services, and they're probably committing and investing more than anybody in terms of commitment to sustainability. I know I saw an article just the other day around AWS evangelizing about their own data centers being 5 times more energy efficient than the norm within Europe. I've seen some cool statistics coming out from Microsoft as well in that kind of space. So I suppose, you know, that makes us proud to know that we're partnering with the right people and we're helping customers unlock opportunity. Within your role, what steps do you see in AWS that are driving like energy efficiency within their solutions?
You know, I guess that they are, you know, broadly speaking, they're moving towards renewable energy sources themselves. You know, so as they move towards 100% renewable energy sources,
they're not quite there yet, are they?
No, not
close.
Yeah, I think getting there. I think the target, I can't remember, is in the next few years what the target is. But as you say, there's a perhaps I think the numbers are 80% more efficient in AWS now. As they become 100% renewable, it'll be 96%.
That's the carbon footprint trade-off, isn't it, from being on-prem? Yeah.
But essentially, I mean, they're invested in things like, you know, cooling systems, power distribution. The kit in the data centers is more and more energy efficient all the time, you know, and with the scale that they've got, then that energy efficiency is driving that, you know, that measurement of that improvement compared to, you know, legacy kit on-prem, you know, and then obviously they've got, you know, the tools and the accounting and methodologies to measure that, you know, so I guess it's their investment in renewable energy sources and the efficiency of their own operations that essentially derives the benefit for us as a partner or an end customer.
Yeah, and obviously we see all the focus, and we can see the headlines about how much more efficient it is, how much more green it is, and what the opportunity is. How do we, or the end customer, or actually AWS themselves, how do they actually measure carbon emissions? How is that possible? Well, how do they achieve that?
I guess it's an evolving science, it's fair to say, you know, and there's definitely more to be done over time, and there is, I know there's more being done, but I mean, essentially at the moment you've got things like the carbon footprint calculator. I mean, that basically is estimating your carbon footprints, you know, aligned to your AWS usage. You've got carbon reporting, which is around information on carbon emissions of AWS across different regions. Some regions may be more efficient than others. But I think it's also important to look at information sources and data sources outside natively of AWS or Microsoft for that matter. So in AWS, they have something called the Sustainability Data Initiatives. That's allowing you to use climate, energy and emissions data from third-party sources, which might give you more rounded view. We're currently engaged with another organisation. I can't sort of quite see it at the moment, but that's around a proof of concept, and they are working with leading universities about applying a more scientific and granular methodology in terms of assessing your carbon footprint based upon CO2 emissions and kilowatt hours, and that I think at the moment gives you a more detailed information than what you could get from the native AWS calculators.
Yeah, I suppose like everything, it's everything in clouds. You know, like we use the word on all of our webinars about the journey.
Yeah.
I suppose this sustainability metrics, it's a journey, it's going to evolve. And as the tools, the technology and the science evolves, our ability to utilize that data and make more empowered decisions evolves as well. And that ultimately supports the wider optimization and modernization journey for any customer within the cloud.
Yeah.
So as part of that journey piece, I think one element that plays into all of the sustainability vectors really, and something we've been doing a lot of over recent years is, and I think you touched on it earlier, around serverless architectures, or some people would call it event-driven architectures. But ultimately, it's utilizing cloud technologies to create solutions that realize a true pay-as-you-go consumption model, and therefore, when customers have peaky demand profiles and nobody's using their system, the whole thing can obviously reduce in terms of cost and carbon emissions footprints. And I know earlier in the year we worked on a sequence of serverless program with some customers and the hyperscalers, and we released a load of good collateral around that. Can you just give us a quick recap on some of those others, like business benefits beyond pure cost when looking at serverless technologies?
Yeah, I think there's a number of areas that you could get with serverless. That cost is the obvious one, because it is exactly demanding your capacity and demand profile. But you've got to think in other areas such as workforce efficiency. If I'm a DevOps and I'm only altering small units of code, then I'm increasing the velocity at the rate at which I can deploy that code. I'm reducing the propensity for human error or coding error to be introduced on that. And it makes you more customer centric. I can respond to requirements quicker than I could before. Smaller units of code should be more performance. If I only ever have to execute a smaller bit of code, then that should be more performance. It should be more scalable, because we're taking, using the serverless, we're taking the server out of the equation, and we're letting Amazon or whoever or Microsoft. It's not infinitely scalable, but within the parameters it should be. It should be more resilient and more secure. If you think about if you had an insecure solution and there was some part of code that was insecure, it's only that one bit of code. It's not 20,000 lines of legacy code. So for a number of reasons, I guess all of those things make it more efficient, more agile, more scalable, more performance.
So it almost feeds into all of those sustainability vectors, really. In terms of unlocking that, and again, working with so many customers in recent years to help them take that journey and modernize within serverless technologies. I think that's been a bit of a game changer in terms of competition, and now obviously the fact that they can start to measure the carbon emission reduction by doing that as well makes it even more powerful, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more customers wanting to go on that journey. So there's lots to go out there in terms of tools, services, opportunity, and evolving science. It's quite overwhelming. From a best practice point of view, where should organisations start if they want to get going on this journey towards whether it be optimisation, modernisation, or sustainability reduction in general?
I guess I think you've got to understand what your organisation's sustainability goals. Is it carbon footprint reduction? Is it energy efficiency, resource optimisation? I guess you need to do an assessment of where you currently are, right? And against those areas of your goals. So if the goal is about carbon footprint, then you've got to assess where you currently are. And I guess not just in your cloud solution. Where's the parameters? Are you just focused on one cloud solution, the cloud, the organisation, right? I guess you've got to make it something that's achievable, smart, I guess. But then I would say, once you understand what your goals are and you've assessed what they are, you really need to optimise, your usage and utilise services which can help you make quick gains or quick wins. Perhaps it's using Graviton processors, perhaps it's using S3 cold storage and therefore not using warm storage. So optimise and utilise, I guess, will be the next sort of thing. Monitor, we've got to understand what to do, because the world around it changes, the usage pattern of your applications or solutions change, what your customers do changes.
Yeah.
So that whole continuous monitoring and measuring type activity.
That DevOps side.
Yeah.
Feedback.
Yeah. Feedback.
Yeah.
Continuous feedback loops. Yeah. And I guess it's about embedding that culture as well within the organisation. You know, if you've got a design pattern or whatever around how you build your solutions or how you stand up your infrastructure, make sure there's a sustainability lens within that design pattern, right? So you're designing for sustainability at the start rather than trying to introduce the end.
Yeah.
And I guess the whole thing about that, as you said, it's a continuous improvement, right? There's a continuous cycle. I think it's perhaps important not to worry about what's the absolute measure of where you are at the moment in, say, kilowatt hours or CO2 emissions, but where are you over time?
Yeah, measuring those incremental gains. Yeah, okay. So one thing I've been working on with our we've got a specialist data science and data practice known as Calibri Digital, and one thing we've been doing a lot of recently is it more in that like Gen AI space, because many customers are wanting to unlock that potential, and we're working with one of the hyperscalers in that space to see what we can do to service some of these customers. Can you see any kind of direct sustainability gains off the back of like Gen AI technologies and things that people could factor into their like Gen AI thinking?
I guess that, well, yeah, it's another sort of really new technology for us to work with. I guess the obvious thing that was to will be around workforce efficiency, right? If you can use the Gen AI technology to make your coding more efficient and more effective and less resource hungry, then that's got to be an immediate win. I see things online about people, helping them, with code efficiency. I guess that's the obvious thing that I would say springs to mind. In use Gen AI.
Automation of business processes and elements like that. So as you say, it's all about removing waste from business, really, isn't it? And I suppose we don't know where that journey's going to end, but that's pretty exciting stuff in terms of what we might be able to do.
Absolutely.
So in terms of what we've just spoken about, each one of these topics really we could go on about for an hour or two, and obviously there's way too much information to go into. So I suppose the main thing is we've explored, Adam's brought to life some of the AWS services, features, tools, etc. But each of the hyperscalers will have similar tools and features available. I think they'll continue to invest, and the opportunity will only grow. And I think whichever hyperscaler you're working with, the art is translating all of those business insights and all of those tools and features into business benefit and business gain. So obviously make sure you have a strategy, you look at it in a collaborative way, try not to be too transactional, and actually measure the wider gains. And if you need help, you reach out to an MSP partner. If you remember the big three vectors of sustainability, social, economic, and environmental, everything you do, you should be thinking about those kind of impact statements. So drive some sustainability goals, and if you need help, reach out. Nasstar is already helping many customers on their cloud adoption journey. We're helping customers specifically around their requirements for sustainability enhancements, and we'd love to help any other customers who want to explore that world and go on a journey together. So I'm going to stop there and just say thank you to Adam for sharing some of your insights given the AWS world. Thank you to the people who've joined on the live webinar, and I'll pause there and just open to any live Q&A that may well have come through this session. So Rebecca, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of things that have come through. Over in the chat, someone has posted a really interesting article about AWS and their drive to be more sustainable. I've had a quick read. It's definitely worth having a look at. There's a couple of questions in there as well. So the first one we have is, where has Nasstar helped customers achieve sustainability goals using cloud services? So do we have an example that we can draw upon, Steve?
Yeah, of course. And Adam, you can fill in here if I miss anything. I think the main thing for we've been an AWS partner for a decade, and Microsoft as well. We've been an MSP partner for 9 years now. So as part of that MSP partner, we have to look after them from cradle to grave, from account setup, billing, architecture, devs, and then full management. So I suppose if you look at the 3 vectors, in the past, we've been able to help them with their economic sustainability, and have more focus in that space. How do they save money? How do they make tech decisions to continuously drive return on investment to the business? And also through helping them deliver continuous integrated delivery pipelines with DevOps ways of working, we've helped them focus their own workforces on what I would call richer product sets, and to upskill their workforce. They don't have to have too much wastage within their own delivery model. So that's probably helped some organizations modernize and create a better work-life balance and have a more highly skilled workforce. So in the social and economic elements, we've been able to do that a lot. Probably only over the last year have we really been able to start talking to customers around carbon footprint reductions, because of all these new tools and metrics that are available, and we can start to measure it and have tangible conversations. So whilst we could always say, serverless architecture will be more carbon friendly than having a load of servers sitting in a data center, we couldn't measure it in a tangible way. And actually now we can start to do that. So many of our live customers that I won't name as such, but you look at our website for a lot of our case studies, a lot of our large enterprise organizations we're working with, they're also asking us about sustainability of serverless technologies, increased automation, CI/CD, DevOps, what they can do around measuring their carbon footprints and what their next steps could be. And we very much have built sustainability into our own well-architected frameworks and our own managed services, so that all of our conversations with our customers are focused around not only cost optimization, but now also economical impact. But again, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I'll just add, I was just sort of like thinking about those early adopters into the cloud, how getting to the cloud was just like phase 1 of the journey. And what you've described there is that evolution over time. I think what you're seeing now is the on-ramp of that early adopters in terms of sustainability measuring and messaging, so yeah, it's early days, but the velocity of pace around what we can do around sustainability is going to increase. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and actually one just came to mind, and again, I won't give the name of the customer because I haven't had their prior permission to do so, but obviously back in 2019 we developed a really cool data platform, so like ingesting data from millions and millions of devices all over the place, and during the pandemic they saw a complete change in consumer behavior, and therefore revenues started to drop and customer behavior started to drop. So these serverless architectures that we've developed for that customer, not only did their cost base fall in line with their revenues to protect the business financially, but actually, if you think about it from a carbon emissions point of view, when no one was using the platform, or certainly reduced numbers of using their solution or platform, the compute power ramped right down. So actually, there is no wastage, there's no carbon wastage. So it represented great financial value for the customer, but also great social and economic benefits as well. Okay.
Lovely, thank you. And there's one more that's come in. What kind of technical support or guidance does Nasstar offer to organisations that are starting off developing their sustainability initiatives?
I'll pick that one up, Rebecca, briefly. I guess as a Amazon Premier Pharmacy and an MSP, when you work with the hyperscalers, it gives us access to expertise that may not necessarily be available to an end customer normally, right? So we're able to take our customers' challenges, however unique they are, and then replay them back inside AWS. And it helps inform, say, AWS decide how they're going to move forward themselves, right? Perhaps with their carbon footprint calculator, or what they're doing around sustainability data initiative. If a customer says, I really like some data to tell me about X or Y, we can feed that back into AWS. as well as being able to, you know, access to the experts and you know, the best practice, you know, that those guys were to, I guess for our end customers, they've got a comfort blanket in the fact that Amazon mark us, they're assessing our homework, right? You know, are we doing the right thing by our customers? So it's that little bit of a secret sauce and a little bit of knowledge that you get from working inside the hyperscalers. I think that's the real benefit.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think a great example of that is early last year when AWS decided that sustainability was going to be forefront and center of their own strategy, and they incorporated it into their best practice framework, well-architected review framework. Not only did Nasstar, as an accredited well-architected review partner, start to obviously help take that message out to the industry and help customers learn about the art of the possible, but we also then incorporated the full best practice reviews into our full managed service to make sure that every single thing we do for our customers, from cradle to grave of a service lifecycle, has got a constant focus on sustainability, all harking back to those best practice reviews which are coming from the hyperscalers themselves. So I suppose that how we help and how we can do it is, yes, we can access their resources, we can get early access to programs, we can get funding that's not independently available and all that good stuff, but ultimately it's the translation of all of that tech innovation into business opportunity. And that's ultimately how we can help customers on their journey to say, how do you put one foot in front of another and start to take this journey? How can you measure it, and what levers do you need to pull to actually achieve your goals?
I guess the thing Steve said on that is actually, you know, AWS and the other hyperscalers, they learn off us. So if you take the sustainability pillar of the well-architected review, we've enhanced that in a sense and created our own deeper dive, more focused area on sustainability with, I don't know, a lot more drilling down into the detail of what the customer's doing. And actually, Amazon are really interested in that, because actually that's a level of expertise that they haven't encountered before. And that comes from working with a partner, right? And, you know, partners working with multiple customers, they're able to drive down to that level of detail. And actually having people in our business focused on that, you know, and actually driving that conversation forward.
Okay, great. We've got any more questions, Rebecca?
Bear with. Nope, that's all for the questions. Thank you very much, both of you.
That's okay. That's okay. So we'll leave it there. Thank you again, once and all. Remember your 3 vectors. Think about your own sustainability goals, and if you'd like a conversation, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks, Rebecca.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.